I was going through my archives, and today I wanted to take a closer look at some RAW files from the Sony a7R Mark IV. Now, it's been a while since we finished our review, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth and show you guys just what's possible with these files. Now, as you may know, this is an over 60 megapixel sensor. It's full frame. It's the highest resolution sensor of any full frame camera right now currently on the market as of the end of April 2019. So, usually with higher megapixel sensors, you get more dynamic range, more details. Like, for example, if I go all the way in on here, you get a lot of details. But I know that the camera also has a couple of problems, at least with autofocus and sometimes with high ISO output. So I wanted to take a look and I wanted to show you guys a couple of edits. So let's go through. Let's see what I can do with this image right now. So I'm going to say daylight white balance. Let's give the clarity the punch method. And then let's bring up the shadows. Now that looks a little weird. So let's deepen the blacks to make that look a tad more natural. Should I give it less contrast or totally less contrast? Absolutely less contrast. And kill the brights a little bit. And those are my basic settings. But usually the way that I edit is I would go in and I would use the color editor. I know Paul and other editors like to use the advanced and the skin tones and all that stuff. I'm not really a guy that really likes doing that. So instead, I'm just going to... Do I want that? Yeah, there you go. It was just glitching out a little bit. So when I adjust the hues there, you can now see that his skin tone is tied in with the greens there. So how do I fix that? What happens if I go more purple in terms of the tint? So if I do that, then I don't think that he is going to be associated as much with... Yeah, see? He's completely separated for the most part now. So I'm going to make that hue, and I'm going to adjust that a bit. And now the greens, do I want to super... Yeah, let's make them more green. Something that I usually do is I look at a scene and I say, what are the primary colors? So I guess this area would be associated with like blue or purple. And then he is like an orange and then there's green. So let's see what happens when I edit the blues. Ah, yes. Now, see, that's what it was before. And now his clothing is a little bit more normalized. And if I saturate that, let's pretend that didn't happen. That was pretty bad, wow. And now working with the greens, and I worked with that. Cool. So this is my edit, and this was the original image. So I think that quite a bit is able to be recovered. Now, if I wanted to copy these adjustments and apply them here, how would that look? It would look pretty okay. Looks a tad HDR-ish, but it's not too terrible. So this is one other shot. I think that this is pretty okay so far, but I think that what a lot of people don't use is the power of cropping. And that's what one of the biggest advantages of the Sony a7R IV. So right now we still have... How many pixels do we have? Well, that's the total, 9,000 plus. But like if I went to the... Yeah. We still have a lot of pixels either way with the crop. I don't really feel like finding it right now, and I've never really found that either, or worked for it. So let's see what happens if I do... I usually like doing 5200 or 5500 Kelvin, because that is the closest thing that you can get to film. 3200 otherwise if you're doing tungsten. So let's deepen the blacks, and let's lower the contrast. And then let's give it classic punch, or clarity rather. And let's open the whites up a bit. Why not? Killing the... No, I don't want that done. And I do want... Nope. Nope, that was a mistake. Sorry about that. What I would like, though, is... Some folks may say that that's too hot. I actually don't mind images that are too hot, but either way, now we're recovering some detail from the highlights. So now I'm showing you a little bit more of what the file can actually do. So when I look at this image again, this is more associated with an orangish thing. So is her skin. Her lips are red, so is this drink. And then the background is sort of bluish. Let's take a look. So if I were to edit the blues, what would happen? The background does change a bit, but not really a whole lot. So, let's see what happens if I make this image more blue. So if I make it more blue, then it is being associated, it's associating her dress with the background at the same time. So I guess we're just going to have to find a way to work with that then. So sorry about that with the color editor. I'm also going to saturate this channel. Ooh, nope, that is bad. Part of this sometimes is looking and actually trying to figure stuff out. You can also do here is you can check out the skin tone. So I can tell Capture One, okay, I want this to be the skin tone. Or I want that to be the skin tone. And now it's giving you basically a range. And now if I change the hue of that, the skin tone changes accordingly. If I wanted to saturate it, make it look really orange, I could, but I don't want to do that. That's just bad news bears. So that's what we're getting with that image. Now if I wanted to save this image, this is basically something that I did as a test, and then I did this, and then it came out to that. Let me show you what this will look like if I try to rescue all those shadows. So I'm doing that, and going to have to, let's see how we can do this. So now I'm rescuing the shadows a bit, and now that looks terrible. So this is a lesson also to remind people that sometimes you can't do everything in post. You actually have to do quite a bit of it in the camera. Yeah. Now, what if I wanted to embrace this look? I could do a black and white. So if I did that, I'm going to use R&I films right now. ISO 160. Do I want Fomapan? No. Do I want Delta? No. Do I want T-Max? I do want T-Max, but she does not look very flattered with T-Max. So instead I'm just going to do this. And then let's see what happens. So now that I'm in black and white, I'm going to have to find a way to get more of the shadows back. So I'm going to overexpose more. Jeez. Nope. Lower the contrast. Up the brightness. Lower the white channel. Now it's not looking very flattering right now. So sometimes these raw files can actually run into issues, and it depends on whether or not you're a good editor. I'm an okay editor. I could, if I wanted to, let me do a mask, new filled layer. So I want to do, it's a gradient, right? So I wanted to do that right there. And with that gradient layer, I'm going to overexpose it quite a bit. Okay, that's starting to look better. That is one way. You know what? Let's try to do that with the original. So I'm going to add a new filled layer. I'm going to say I want to do this. So now what I'm doing is I'm increasing the exposure, and I'm essentially saving the file in a way. So I'm going to want to, do I want to bring that more over? Do I want to bring it here? Yes, I do. So that's what's going on right now. And now this looks kind of cool too. It's got kind of like an ethereal look to it. And now I'm going to go back to editing the overall image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the contrast. Yeah, I do want to do that. And now I'm going to add... I know you guys like Portra, so let me add Pro Negative Portra. No, do I want... Pro Negative doesn't look bad, actually. But let's see, Kodak Portra 160. Seems a little... That's not too terrible. Show you guys what this looks like. That's full screen. Some of you may say that's a little hot, so I'm going to fix that up a bit. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to kill the brightness a bit. And I'm going to lower the contrast. Cool, so that's one way of fixing an image. I mean, you can do that. You don't have to do that. So now, let's see cropping, though. So what can I do to make this image better as a crop? I am going to crop right there. And I'm going to crop in like so. So you can see over here it's 3000 pixels by 1390. That's more than enough for what most photographers need. Now if I want to go in 100%, I'm almost in 100%. So I can crop very heavily, and that's proof right there. Let's see what else I can do with these files. Let's brighten. Let's kill the highlights a bit. Add blacks. And then let's work again with the color channel. So the hues here. Hues, that's associated with her skin tones. Let's switch up the white balance to daylight. And let's also... I don't want to be in advanced. There isn't really a lot of color here to stand out. So overall, generally, it makes it harder for me to edit. And that's usually why I tell everyone to have the skin tone to be associated with one channel, the wardrobe to be associated with another, and then the background to be associated with yet another. So this one's kind of difficult for us to edit. And that's why I think that manufacturers need to go even deeper into color depth with their sensors. So I'm going to edit this. Let's see what happens. So I'm getting a lot of that detail back there. And I'm getting some of that detail back. Let's see what happens when I do... So, let's see if we can get back all of this detail in some way or another. So if I wanted to do... I could paint it on... Yeah, I could paint it on. So let's increase the size of this brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to work on doing this. Cool. And now I'm doing that. And that, but no. I didn't want a fill layer. I want another layer. So let's edit this again. New empty layer. Okay. And now I can just draw this on. That's how I do it. I don't usually work with masks, partially because I don't like them. So you're getting a lesson in basically how one would do this in Capture One. That's close enough. So now, okay. Now I'm going to kill the exposure on that. And what I can do now is I can... Oops. Ooh. Wow. Wow. That was a little bad. So now what I can do is I can say, well, I'm going to... Nope. Go to the background again. Edit this overall. And then I'm going to raise the exposure a bit. Now go back to the background, and I'm going to kill the highlights more. Basically, you get the idea. You would find a way to get more of the detail back in the highlights. So Let's try that again. I don't believe in giving up, but sometimes you have to. So now, killing the exposure on that, on the highlights, kill more of the highlights. Okay, I can live with that, right? Yeah, I can live with that. So now the background, I'm going to add more brightness, and you can tell that I already screwed up. But yeah, so that's more or less how you would do it. It's just, I'm not always careful. It's possible, it's just, not always. Oh, wait, no, I'm editing layer 1. It's very possible. It's just, you have to be careful, and sometimes it's better with, like, let's say, a Wacom tablet or something like that. Let's give it one more shot there. So I'm going to add another empty layer. Be a little bit more careful around him. Oops, nope. This is easier to do in Photoshop and somewhat in Lightroom. I will admit that. But I like the algorithms that Capture One has a little bit more for editing. So, okay. So now, killing the highlights a little bit more. And the exposure a little bit more. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add brightness. I'm going to open up the shadows more. And I'm going to add contrast. And now we finally actually have the image that I was trying to create. Going to edit in daylight. Actually, no, I'm going to make this a little bit warmer. 5600 works for me. And now what I can do is I can say to myself, green is a major color. I want those to be like around there. The orange of his skin and with the building is also pretty major colors. So I want that to be edited. And the saturation, his skin is associated with yellow right now. So I'm going to sort of mess around with that. That's okay. And then the purple. The purple is also another color that's very popular. And the blue. The blue is also yet another color that's very popular. So I'm just going to mess around with that. And that's a rough estimate of how you'd actually fix the image. So this is the original. And then that's the edit. Now, let's go to another edit. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to not edit in this. Actually, no. That's fine. This is in 5800. Let's try to see how much can be recovered from the highlights. And let's also try to see what else can be done here. So I'm getting more details back for sure. Quite a bit, actually. So quite a bit of detail can actually be recovered from the highlights. That's very encouraging for many photographers to know. This is shot then. Daylight. Let's see what happens when I do it in tungsten. So Sony doesn't really do tungsten as 3200. IM. Let's see what happens now. Okay, cool. So that's a little bit easier for us to work with right there. That halo is natural, actually, around her. That's okay. Let's see what I can do with this file now. So when I make this a little bit bluer, she is a little bit more. Okay, cool. There we go. That was easier to do than I thought it would be. Getting more from the shadows back, more from the white channels and the highlights. And then I want to make her look less purple. So I can add a little bit more green. Or what I could also do is I could change up the purple channel to be Do I want it to be more blue? No. Or I can embrace it. You know, I could just say, okay, cool. That's the ambient lighting. I like the look of it. Sometimes people like, actually, you know, there's blue and orange. So why not just embrace the look of the blue and the orange together? So more blue, more orange, and even more orange. Cool. Not too terrible. That's in association with her dress, so that's fine. And this is an association with her skin tones. And this is a very basic way of using Capture One to edit. You can obviously do whatever you want to. I'm not at all claiming to be an authority. I'm just showing you what's possible with the A7R Mark IV RAW files. Like with these highlights right there. We got a lot of detail back right there with her highlights. If I kill the whites, oh god. Kind of difficult to do. And that's where I'd probably say I'm going to embrace one of these. Yeah, HP 5. I guess I could. Not totally happy with it, but yeah. 6400 is what I really wanted to deal with. 6400 ISO is grainier than normal, but it's also incredibly sharp, as you can see there. I'm going to go in maybe 200%. Yeah. So now let's see what's possible. Actually, let me show you this first. So is it really grainy? It's not terribly grainy, but you can see some. So we're going to go to the detail slider, and we're going to kill the noise. Get more details, even more color, and make that per single pixel. And that'll take a little bit to render, but you will see that it will be a better image in the end. And now let's work with the color editor once again. I'm going to saturate the blues. See what I'm saying again? The color channels are very well separated, so I'm very happy about that. So hues, working with her skin tones. If I do that, then she looks like She-Hulk. Let's not do that. Let's do a little bit more on that edge and that edge. And now her dress. Her dress is something that is very hue friendly. So I'm just going to make that stand out even more. What I can also do here is I can say I want this to be at 3200. 3200 white balance. Nope, that's not going to work. So now there's not really much separation between the background and her dress. And now there's a little bit more at least. Do I want this to be more purple or more blue or more orange? I want it to be more, slightly more purple, because there is purple in her dress too. So let's, do this. Hue. Yep. Saturate that even more. And now we've got a better image, I think, at least. So here is the original. And here's it with just enough punch, I guess you could say, to make it stand out even more. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to kill the highlights here to get more details back. And I'm going to... Do I want more contrast? Yeah, I guess I want more contrast. Deeper blacks. The white channels. Nope. She is quite a shade of pasty, unfortunately. But nothing wrong with that. You know, this was taken in a colder season. And now we've got more of the image edited. So again, this is the original, and this is the edit. So the A7R Mark IV's RAW files are very versatile. You can do a lot with them. Whether or not you necessarily need this much with them, I think that's a different story. and whether or not you really need to upgrade to the A7R IV. I think that's a little different story. Paul has upgraded, our reviews editor. I haven't upgraded. I still am using the A7R Mark III. I record a lot of my videos with that, and for my needs, I think it's all I really necessarily require. Here I am just editing more. That's really about it. For still images, you know, the A7R Mark IV does a great job. Whether or not you eat it once again, different story. So yeah, folks, thanks a lot for tuning in and taking a look at what we're doing here with the raw files. And I hope that this was helpful, at least, in helping you make a decision of whether or not you should be getting one. So yeah, thanks a lot, folks. Take care. Oh, and also, please be sure to subscribe to us on the Phoblographer on YouTube, and then also be sure to check out the Phoblographer.com. Now really, take care.